Okay, so first thing here, guys, is that if you haven't already done so, you will need to sign up for Google Classroom. Okay, I did send out emails early this week. So if you haven't checked your school email, there's an invite email for that. If you didn't get one or whatever, there's also a join code here on the board. Okay, but you will have to join the Google Classroom. All of the stuff you need is there. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it is something that is important for you to do sooner rather than later. Okay, so we'll start out with the sheet that I just gave you. Okay, just how things are going to work in this class. Okay, the single most important thing for success in Science 10 is for you to be here. Okay, I mean, we all know how well during COVID the whole learning from home thing went. In a word, poorly. Okay, like yeah, if you put in a ton of effort and you work really hard at it, it was okay. Okay, but it's not the greatest way to do things. So the best thing is for you to be here. Okay, if you can't be here, I post everything to Google Classroom each and every day. Okay, and that includes the thing that I'm recording right now. Okay, every day I record class. I post it to YouTube every day. Okay, so if you're not here because you're sick or you're away or whatever, okay, it's your responsibility. Go check Google Classroom. Okay, watch what happened. Okay, and all you'll see on that recording is what's on the smartboard, and you'll hear me. Okay, you may occasionally be able to hear someone asking a question or something like that. The microphone is right here. It generally picks up your voice. Okay, so the question can be heard, but I'll make sure that it's not something, because no one can see you, it's going to be impossible to identify you from the video. Okay, so that'll be done each day and then posted, so you can always check what happened. If it's a lab or something like that, you're still responsible for it. I have observations videos for every single lab. They'll be posted. Okay, all of that stuff. Yeah, it's not ideal if you're not here, but it's the next best thing if you can't be here. But try and be here as much as you can. Okay. All right. Lates. Okay. Make sure you're here before 8:35. I would say before 8:32 is even better. It gives you a chance to get in here, get your books open, be ready to go. Okay. When class starts. Okay. Once the bell goes, the door will be in the closed position. Okay. That means stay on the other side of it. Don't just walk in. Don't knock. Okay. There's a big window there. I'll see you. And I'll come get you when it's not an interruption to what we're doing, especially since this is period 1, morning exercises, the gospel reading, O Canada, all that kind of stuff. Don't just walk in, okay? Just wait out there and I'll come get you. If I'm totally preoccupied and I haven't noticed you and you've been out there for like 10 minutes, then you can knock, okay? Unless, it's very obvious that I'm ignoring you on purpose. Like you've been late every single day for 10 straight days, then I'm probably just ignoring you, okay? All right. For second part here, okay, so the resources that are available to you. So as I already said, I have the YouTube channel, but you probably won't need to just go there to look for stuff. I'm going to link it through Google Classroom anyway, so it's not something you don't need to subscribe to it or anything like that. Okay, it's just there, it's available. Okay, looks like this. It's pretty plain Jane. Just got a picture of the school on it. Okay, and what's on there is a Science 10 section. So there's playlists for each unit. Right now they're still full of last year's videos, but I'm going to clear those out and start posting this year's videos in each one. So you can always find it there. Okay, and obviously past years worth of videos are in there. I don't know how many thousand that would be, but okay, it's a lot. So you'll only need the most current ones. So that's what it looks like. But again, I will link everything in through Google Classroom. So each day there'll be a post with a link. Okay, and whatever other things we did that day. So if it's an assignment, like a lab report or something like that, it'll be in the classwork tab and all that good stuff. You guys know how to use Google Classroom, I assume already, right? Yeah. All right. So that's the stuff you will need, or the stuff about the resources there. Okay, and like I said, each day I will post the day's activities. Okay, and you can follow along that way. Okay. And you've got the join code there if you haven't. So yeah, make sure you're doing that, especially if you're away. Okay. if you're gonna be away, and you know you're gonna be away for a while, like maybe your parents are planning a trip or something like that, you can let me know ahead of time. That's fine, but I'm probably not gonna be able to tell you what you're going to miss. You know, like if you're saying, if you come to me today and go, Mr. Coderre, my family and I are going on a vacation, you know, from the 5th of December to the 11th of December, what am I gonna miss? Stuff. I mean, I have a guess at where we'll be at that point in time, but I can't tell you exactly. So I would like appreciate the really big notice, but it's not gonna really, I'm not gonna be able to help you prepare this far ahead of time. Okay, let me know a little bit ahead and I can say, well, probably my usual answer. Just make sure you're checking Google Classroom while you're away. I'm posting everything there, just stay caught up, do the labs, if you have questions, email me, whatever. Okay, but obviously ideally it's better if you're here. Okay, you wanna try to miss as little school as possible. The big thing is, if you're away, you haven't told me you're gonna be away, you're gone for a long time, you come back and you're like, hey, Mr. Coderre, what did I miss? I'm gonna look at you and give you this answer. A lot. And then I'm gonna walk away because it was your responsibility to stay caught up while you were away. I put everything there, okay? I mean, if you come back after being gone and go, Mr. Coderre, I watched, you know, this video, I practiced how to name compounds, and I think I understand the mole equation, but could you help me a little bit with it? Absolutely. You did your part. You watched all the stuff, you did your best to stay caught up, but you have questions. That's your job as the student. My job as the teacher is to help you with those questions. Okay? What isn't my job as the teacher is, hey, Mr. Coderre, I know you taught my whole class all that stuff. Can you teach it to me now because I was away? No. Okay? That's your job. I'll help you if you have questions. All right. Questions from you guys so far? Classroom behavior stuff. Okay. Big thing is respect. Okay. I will treat you with respect. Okay. And I expect that you treat each other with respect as well. Okay, everyone should feel safe, included, and welcome. They should feel like they can answer questions and not be a target of ridicule or anything like that. Okay, sometimes, yes, we answer something, you know, in the heat of the moment. We're like, oh yeah, I know the answer to that, and then realize, oh man, that was really kind of a silly response. But it doesn't help if people make you feel silly after that. Okay, we want everyone to feel like, hey, this is a safe place. I can speak here. I can, you know, be myself here. That's really important. If that's not happening, okay, if you're person not being respectful to others, that's going to be a problem. Okay. When you hear the words listen up, okay, that's my cue that I need your attention. Okay, so if I say listen up, I need both eyes on me, I need both ears free of earbuds, I need your full and undivided attention. It could be simple as, listen up, we're going to get started today, and today we're talking about this. Or it could be, listen up, there's a mistake on this worksheet, let's get it fixed. It could be, listen up, there's going to be a fire drill, we need to get out of here now. It could be any number of things, but when I say listen up, I need your full and undivided attention right then. Okay? Work assigned in class. In my class, there are two different kinds of work that will be assigned. There's practice. Okay? Practice is things like worksheets. Okay? One of the things in Google Classroom is there's a worksheet booklet for each unit. Okay? That's, you know, we're practicing naming compounds, we're practicing writing reactions, we're practicing doing graphing problems, whatever, okay? I'm not taking that stuff in for marks. I'm not checking it for completion. It's the stuff you should do to master the material. Then there's assigned work that's coming in for marks. That would be lab reports, assignments, okay, and things like that. Those definitely have to be completed, okay? The practice material should be completed. It's in your best interest to do so, but you know, if you've done 2 pages out of 3 of, you know, naming compounds and you're getting every single one right, maybe you don't need to practice a whole lot more. That I kind of leave up to you. You're old enough to make that choice. But when it comes to a lab report or other type of assignment, those aren't optional. Those come in. Okay, they're coming in for marks. Okay. All right. I don't have any make work projects. Okay, like I'm just I'm gonna throw a worksheet with these guys today because I got to get some work done over here. I'm not going to do that. Okay, anything that I give to you in class to do, I expect you to do. Okay? There's a reason for it. Okay, so you're responsible for your own academic success. If I find you're not completing your work, the kind that's coming in for marks, okay, then you'll be spending your lunch hours with me until such time as you are caught up. Okay, because I call home and say little Johnny or little Janie is having trouble getting their work done, they're falling really far behind, their marks in the 30s, I'm really worried about them. I need them to come in at lunch. okay? Most parents are like, you're gonna help them at lunch? That's great. I'll take away their Xbox and their phone and their car keys, and they'll be 4 gray walls and bread and water until they're all caught up. Okay? Parents are like really supportive when I'm telling them just how much I want to help you. Okay? Don't get in that situation, it's bad for you. Okay? So just have your work done. And should you, by some act of God, achieve a mark of less than 50% on a unit exam, okay, you will attend help sessions until you've corrected the errors. I usually give some kind of post-exam kind of thing for you to work on. It's not a rewrite. Okay, I give you something to work on, then I go over it with you to make sure you understand where you made your mistakes, okay, and I can do like a small mark adjustment, okay, but there's no, oh, you know what, I just don't have time to study for this test, so I'm not going to. Oh, I failed. Mr. Coderre, can I have a rewrite? Nope. Okay, that's not how life works. Okay, if you become a brain surgeon and you don't do your homework, and then you go in and you screw up somebody's brain, you don't get a do-over on that. Okay, you know, look at the Artemis rocket that they're launching, right? They only get one shot at that. They had something go wrong, so they postponed the launch. You don't get a do-over on something like that either. That's billions of dollars. Okay, so we're kind of preparing you for the real world here. Okay, you have lots of opportunities to come in and see me for help. I'll have a help schedule up here shortly. But yeah, suffice it to say, I'm available every day. You can come in and see me. Plus, we're going to have our like flex time at the end of period 3, where you can go and see a teacher of your choice and ask questions. There's this 20-minute kind of time set aside each day. So if you've got questions for your math teacher, you can go and ask them during that time. Or if you want me to go over a lab report, you can come in here and ask me to go over your lab report. Stuff like that. It's 20 minutes. You're here anyway. Okay, you know, it's good for that kind of thing. And I'm also here before school. I'm here most lunch hours unless I have supervision. Okay, and I'm here for a short while after school as well. Okay, I'll put the schedule up, but you can come and see me at those times for help if you need it. Okay, so there's really no reason to not be prepared for a test. All right, fairness versus equality. Okay, I always try to be fair to everyone. But sometimes when you're on the outside of a situation looking in, it might feel like I've been unfair, maybe to you or to somebody else. And know that fairness and equality are different. Okay? If I treat everybody exactly the same, that's not really fair. Everybody comes from a different place. Everybody has different stuff going on. To treat everybody exactly the same is not really fair. It's not smart to do. So kind of an example that happened 10, 15 years ago now. Back when we handed stuff in on paper, I had a lineup of kids to hand in a lab report one morning. And everybody but the last 2 people in line had their stuff done. And first person, he never had anything done on time, ever. I swear. The guy would be late for his own funeral. Okay? But he was perfectly honest with me. He's like, Mr. Coderre, yeah, I don't have it done. I'm like, well, why not this time, Braden? And he's like, well, yeah, the season finale of like my favorite show was on last night, and it was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. And I watched it, and I fell asleep, and I didn't get my homework done. It's like the same thing you told me last week. Whatever, okay, like you're going to take your late penalty. I need it as soon as you can get it to me. The person behind him had never not had something done on time. She always had her work done. But she was green and looked like she would probably have to get better to die. She looked that sick. And she was like kind of wobbling as she stood. And I'm like, you don't have your work done, Sadie? She's like, no, I don't. I'm like, are you okay? Because you look like you're going to fall over. I'm not. I'm really sick. Last night, my parents had this huge fight when they got home, and then they stormed out of the house, and I had to make supper for my little brother and sister, and the chicken was frozen, and I didn't get it cooked enough, and I got really sick, and I spent the whole night throwing up, and I don't have my homework done. And I'm like, ooh. First off, I'm going to be a bit of a jerk and say that happens when you leave it till the night before to do. Okay, like calamity knows when you have no chance, and that's when it strikes. But you know, like this is the first time that's ever happened. I hope everything's going to be okay at home. You should probably go home and lay down and like sleep and get better. But yeah, like get it into me. I'm not going to dock you late marks. Now, I didn't treat him equally, but in that situation, it wasn't appropriate to do so either. Okay, one person that kind of, had something that was beyond their control. Okay, now if you ever feel I haven't been fair, you can come up and call me on it after class. I got no problem explaining my reasoning. Okay, but know that I'm not just going to have like blanket policies all the time. Okay, if you need an extension, because something unforeseen has happened, talk to me about it. Okay, sometimes I'm usually pretty reasonable. Sometimes I'll grant an extension, not always. Okay, but you can come and ask. It never hurts to ask. All right, and then 3.5, accountability. High school is the start of real life, so due dates and timelines are part of your reality. You are expected and required to hand in material on time and be responsible for your actions. I give plenty of time for assignments to be completed, thus there are very few excuses I will accept for not handing in material on time. In real life, you have to be on time and get your work done. The same goes for you here. So, in terms of your schoolwork, for me, okay, not everybody's the same, but for me, the shortest turnaround for you to hand in something I assign for marks will be 2 school days. Okay? That doesn't mean you're going to get 2 class periods to work on it, but it'll be 2 school days. I honestly cannot remember the last time I had a turnaround that was that short. Most of the time it's more than that. Okay? If it's 2 days, it's probably like I assigned it on a Thursday, so Friday would be the first school day, Monday would be the next school day, and it would be due on Tuesday. That would be a 2-day turnaround. Okay, but remember that includes a weekend. Those aren't school days. Okay, so I'm always going to give you time to get stuff done. I'm never going to give you 6 hours worth of homework and say, oh, by the way, that's due tomorrow. Okay, that doesn't help you with your time management. It doesn't, it makes you stressed. That's not fair. I wouldn't do it. Okay. You're going to have to do some time management. It's a skill you build in high school, okay? But I'm going to try and help you with that by giving you the time to manage it, okay? All right, next page has to do with assessment and evaluation, so your marks, okay? The first thing about marks is I do not, will not, cannot discuss your mark with you in class in front of everybody else, okay? That's a fourth thing. I can't do it, okay? If you have a question about your mark, then come to me after class or at lunch or sometime when it's appropriate, okay, and we can discuss it, okay? I've had people be very confrontational with me about their marks, okay, in front of everybody, and what they don't realize is, this is my house. I get to win here, okay? So if you come up to me like one kid did and slap your assignment down, Codere, that mark sucks. I'm going to look at you and go, yes, it does. Sit down. That's your mark. Okay? At that point, I'm not going to discuss it with you ever again. That's your mark. Okay? But I had a kid do that. Right? Like, there's 30 other people in this class, and you're going to confront me like that in front of them, I win. Okay? Like, that's just not going to work out well. But if you come to me after class and Mr. Codere, I know you went over this, and I just don't know why I didn't get a better mark. No problem. I'll go over with you. You're being reasonable. I'm reasonable too. Okay? Your marks will be distributed according to the syllabus. We'll go through that in a minute. Okay? Assignments and labs are to be handed in on time. Okay? Late assignments can be handed in, but they're going to be penalized 30%. That 30% deduction is immediate. All right? There's a couple of reasons why. So, assignments and labs, if they're handed in via Google Classroom, are due at 8:30 a.m. on the due date. Okay, so everybody's a little bit different on that. For this class, your assignments are due at 8:30 a.m. on the due date, unless it's like one of the 2 things that you actually give to me physically on paper, in which case you'll give it to me at the start of class, which is 5 minutes later than 8:30. Okay, that's when they're good for full marks. Okay, that includes if you're away. Okay, if you're not here, still expect that you get that handed in via Google Classroom by 8:30. Okay, now the 30% deduction is for this reason. You will always get your stuff back from me by the next class. Okay, I plan due dates around when I have time to mark. Okay, I always get stuff marked for the next day. Sometimes it's the same day. Okay, but always by the next day. So if I can turn around 35 labs in one day, surely you can have your stuff done on time. You only have to do one, okay? So that's the expectation, okay? Because right away, once it's submitted, you know, I'm starting to mark and people are getting them back, you could be copying them, okay? The next day, I'm going over the same lab report in class and you're sitting there typing down all the answers. How is that fair? Okay, now you hand it in and go, oh, sure, look how good my lab report is. Yes, you can sit and copy and listen very well. Okay, you certainly don't deserve 100% in that situation. Okay, so it needs to be handed in on time or you'll lose 30% of the marks. Okay, now, that's all you'll ever lose. If it's 10 minutes late, 10 days late, 10 weeks late, that's how much it's off, okay? Late and on time are like alive and dead. You're one or the other, okay? There aren't different degrees of late, okay? And some teachers are like, it's 10% a day. Like, you realize then that you have to keep track of how many days late it is, right? Like, that's a pain in the neck. This is one thing, okay? All right, questions on that part? Okay. And then for our course syllabus, okay, there's 4 units in Science 10. Okay, we'll start out with energy and matter and chemical change, or chemistry. Okay, we'll be going over things like the history and structure of the atom, naming chemical compounds, identifying reaction types, properties of compounds, writing and balancing chemical reactions, predicting and balancing chemical reactions, and performing mole calculations. Okay, chemistry is a bit more mathematical. Okay, so you're going to have to, you know, exercise your math muscles a little bit, especially near the end of the unit. That said, you'll also need a scientific calculator. Okay, not right away, but soon. For this class, chemistry will take us up to about Thanksgiving. This year, Thanksgiving's a little early, so it might be slightly after Thanksgiving, but it's usually somewhere around there. Okay. Second unit is cycling of matter in living systems. That's biology. Okay, it's a bit shorter. It's only about 3 weeks long, maybe 4. We usually finish that like shortly after Remembrance Day, somewhere in there. Okay, in that we talk about cell theory, structure of cells, function of cells, transport in cells, and then how cells are part of a multicellular organism, how multicellular organisms transport material, things like that. Okay, that's the biology. We don't dissect anything. Okay, we look at some stuff under the microscope, but you know, if you got problems with cutting stuff up, you don't have to worry about that till next year. Okay? Or actually next semester, because you guys are taking bio-20 next semester, most likely, yes? Okay. And then our third unit, energy flow and technological systems, is physics. Okay, physics is probably the longest unit. It is also the most math-intensive unit. Okay, it starts out right away with doing algebra, manipulating formulas, being able to read, interpret, and calculate things from graphs. So we talk about kind of that kind of stuff. Then we talk about motion. We talk about energy, work energy theorem, conservation of energy, efficiency, okay, things like that. Okay, that one will take us up to usually just before Christmas. Okay, our last unit is energy flow in global systems. It's super short. Okay, I have taught it in as many as 15 days and as few as 4. There's almost nothing in that unit that continues on into 20 level science. Okay, and notice we already talked about chemistry, physics, and biology. Okay, this one's kind of a hodgepodge. Okay, last January when we had that extra week off for Christmas because of COVID, I taught it in 4 days. Okay, so it's short. Okay. That said, it's worth the same amount as all the other units. All right, so your distribution of marks, your unit exams, 4 unit exams, are 40% of your final grade. So it's 10% of your final grade per unit. Okay, so they're a big deal. Okay, but there'll be lots of time to prepare for them, ask questions. Okay, for the first couple of units, I even give you a practice exam in case you take it home and see what kind of things I might ask and how I word things and stuff like that. Your labs, assignments, and projects, so that's your classwork, the things you're handing in for marks, are 30% of your final grade. Okay, quizzes, I didn't talk about those yet, but they are worth 10%. Here's the thing about quizzes. and you might want to write this down because it isn't in the syllabus anywhere. You're going to have a quiz every Tuesday and every Thursday, unless I tell you otherwise. The quizzes are very short. They're 5 or 10 minutes. And I post a practice quiz the night before. Sometimes the practice quiz is the quiz. So it's definitely in your best interest to do the practice quiz. Okay? It'll take you 10, maybe 15 minutes tops to do it. All right? So starting next Thursday, okay, actually starting next Wednesday after school, okay, I'll post a practice quiz for Thursday's quiz. Okay? You go home and you pick up the answers, and then the next day you come in and write a quiz that is very, very similar to that. Okay? That's kind of your studying. That's how I do a homework check. Okay? You don't actually check homework, that's kind of how it goes. Okay? The same thing that's on those quizzes is what's going to be on the exams. Okay? So it's good practice for that as well. Okay, and then your final exam in January is 20% of your final grade. Okay, and I'm pretty sure this year all of those numbers won't have to be doctored like they have the last few years. Okay, this will probably be a legit year, okay, where we have all of that stuff. Okay, questions on any of that? Okay, other questions that usually come up. What do I need for this class? Okay, you need a scientific calculator. Okay, for my class, it doesn't need to be the graphing calculator you need for math. Now, if you just want to kill two birds with one stone and get a, go out and buy the expensive graphing calculator you need for math, go right ahead. That'll work just fine for my class. If you're not really ready to do that, and you just want to buy, $10, $15 calculator, any scientific calculator will do. Okay, I know you can get them like at, basically any department store at Walmart or whatever. You can get them for $10 like this. I bought these last year. Okay, I think they're kind of the same ones you would have gotten junior high with the school start. Basically the same calculator. That'll do anything you need for my course. Okay, and those are not expensive. They're certainly less than $20. Okay, so you'll need that. You don't need it right away, but you're going to need it within the next 2 weeks. Okay, for this class. You need some paper and pencils, okay, because you're going to have to write a few things down, work on problems, things like that, so you're going to need some stuff to write on. Beyond that, there's nothing you need to go out and get for this class. Okay, now some of the stuff that's on Google Classroom, okay, you are going to need each and every class. Okay, this is kind of where your choice comes in. There's a notes package for each unit. Okay, so if you can have your phone off, guys, by the way, and look at this if you want. Okay, but on Google Classroom, come on. You'll see in the notes packages, which is in the classwork tab, if it ever loads. There we go. Okay, it'll have your name, okay, because I made the file yours. Okay, so there's one for chemistry, there's one for biology, there's one for physics, there's one for Google Systems. So there's a notes package for each unit. That's essentially your textbook. Okay, it's the stuff that I'll have up on the board that I will go over in class. Okay, so the choice part is this. How do you want to have that material? Do you like having paper? Do you want to be able to write stuff on paper? If you do, then print these, okay, at home. I wouldn't print them in color. Okay? If you print the entire notes package for the whole course, you're probably going to have to, have one of those cartridge conniptions like Shaq. Okay, I don't know if you've seen that commercial. Okay, but yeah, you're going to run out of color ink, and that's expensive. Just print them in black and white. You can always look at the electronic version on your phone or computer or whatever and see the color pictures. Okay, so save some ink and money. Or some people just keep them on their phone. Okay, there's lots of people that are, they're just adding stuff. It's your Google Doc. Okay, you can open it on your phone or your tablet or your computer and type in whatever you want to it. It's yours. Okay, and the nice thing about it is you can't ever lose this. Okay, your dog can't eat it. Okay, it's always going to be there. Okay, my only suggestion is if you're using your phone to do your notes, have it available offline on your phone. So download the actual file to your phone for the unit we're in, just in case the Wi-Fi does its usual sketchiness. Okay, otherwise it's gonna be hard to work with. Okay, but it's totally up to you how you're going to use those notes. Okay, but you guys always have a phone with you, so you should always have your notes, even if you actually forget the paper copies. Okay, but totally up to you. On the note of phones, I have no problem with you having obviously a phone in this class, as long as it's being used as a tool and not a toy. Okay, if you're Snapchatting, or whatever in my class, that's going to be a problem because you're going to be distracted and you're going to miss stuff. But if you're typing in on your notes, oh yeah, Mr. Coder said to add this to my notes, and I'm doing that right now. I'm totally okay with that. That's what it's for. Okay, so that's totally up to you. Okay, you guys are 15 years old, mature enough, hopefully, okay, to be able to resist the notification urge, okay, and get distracted. Okay, so that's totally up to you, however you want to handle that. The other things that are in there, okay, is worksheet packages. Okay, those you don't have to print either, but there's one for each unit, and so it's a good idea to have a copy of those either on your phone, okay, or available some other way, because you're going to have to go through those as well. Okay, like we'll be working on the naming worksheets for chemical compounds next week. Okay, we got to have that worksheet available. I'll have it on the smartboard, but sometimes it's nice to have it there on your phone. Okay, everybody with me there? From time to time, I'll post other things in Google Classroom, like maybe the keys to one of those worksheets will be posted. You can call those up and check on your phone whether you got it right or not. Okay, but I have no problem with your phone being out, okay, being used in class, just as long as you're using it responsibly. Okay. Other questions that usually come up: can I have food or drink in here? Yes, you can. Okay, I have no problem with that either. If you need tea or coffee or something like that because it's period 1, that's okay with me. A bottle of water, whatever. Okay, if you're eating breakfast in here, I'm okay with that. But if you make a mess, please just clean it up. Okay, no problem with that. Closest bathrooms are just outside the door. Okay, the ladies' washroom is just outside the door, and the guys' washroom is just a little ways down the hall. Okay, so please, if you have to use the washroom, please use the closest ones rather than going for a grand tour every time. Okay, if you need just like a quick break, or something like that, just ask. Just okay, I just need to take a little walk. Just let me know. I'm pretty good about that. Everybody works a little bit different. Okay. Trying to think what else. Oh, fire exit. That's an important one. Okay, so there are a bunch of different fire exits that we can use from this classroom. Our primary fire exit will be out past the stairs. So we'll go left out the door, then we'll turn right where the stairs are to go upstairs, okay, and we'll go out those doors to the back parking lot. That's our primary fire exit. Our secondary fire exit is the front doors. Okay, so we'll still turn left out of this door, and we'll go out the main doors at the front of the school. Our tertiary fire exit is actually down the end of this hallway. And the reason that that's, even though it's close, is our last resort is because it has to empty out 8 other classrooms. Okay, that means we're inside for a lot longer. So that's our last resort, and our even more last resort is me throwing a desk through the window. I get to do that if it comes to that. Okay, those are our fire exits. In any case, okay, we all gather together, okay, in the back parking lot. All right. Any other questions from you guys? If something else comes up, don't be afraid to ask.